and welcome back to the channel. And this video is a bit of a strange one because this is a dedication video and it's going to be in two parts. And firstly, I want to dedicate this to a viewer and I'm going to swear, so if you've got kids present and you don't want them to hear me using bad language, turn it off. Only in the first bit though. Last week I did a video on my knives I've made myself and kept over the years. A lot of people had asked me for this video. One person in particular, Kane. So Kane asked me to do it and he's the one I remember. And so it's dedicated to him, who's a good guy, top guy, and it's also dedicated to a guy who I would probably call a troll. Or if you're in the States, a troll. This guy has commented on a few videos of mine and every comment has been negative with bad language in it. And last week I processed wood down with Bertha, my big camp knife which I'd made, and I had a bit of a fire fail. Watch the video if you haven't seen it, it'll make more sense to you. Well, the comment I had from this guy was, "Use a fucking axe, you twat." Now I know for a fact this guy has been watching my videos for a while because I've had a few nasty comments like that off him. So what I'm going to do now, just for you, who probably knows damn well I use axes regularly and prefer to use axes, I'm going to do a bit of wood processing with my axe, my Wetterlings. Just to show, yes, I use a fucking axe. Gathered a nice log on the way in. There's a fallen tree as I come into the woods and I've been cutting sections off it for the past few visits. There's a bit left, but I've got a nice piece on the sawhorse and I've got a knot-free piece. So I'm going to cut that off now with a silky saw. I love silky saws. And then I'm going to split it down and process it into fuel and kindling. So that's dedicated to him. I'm using a fucking axe. And it's also dedicated to a lot of my viewers who send me comments and say, "We love watching you process wood, it's therapeutic." Fine, that's great. I always think perhaps people are watching it thinking it's boring. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to process some wood down. Very few knots in this, only some tiny little branches sticking out. This should split easily. Should. Whether it will is another thing. So. That was straight grained, not free wood, and it still likes to cling on. So if you're out somewhere and you're splitting pine and it explodes, just think of me. Well, there you go. Yes, it's a damn sight easier with an axe. So that was dedicated to you, Mr. Supercoater. Or Mrs. Supercoater, who knows. Also to you guys who find it therapeutic. Now, if you watched another recent video where I lit a fire with the Ranger wood knife from Victorinox, didn't manage to make a decent feather stick because I didn't have a decent piece of wood. So I'm going to pick a nice piece now out of this pile and I'm going to make a feather stick with it. Or attempt to make a feather stick with it, whichever the case may be. There we go. Nice and straight, nice and dry. Here's my stick, here's my knife. Let's see if this grind actually works on a nice stick. Well, unfortunately she's struggling. I think the modification I did before by just putting the grind on one side was a lot better than putting it on both. I am struggling, but I'm going to persevere and I'm going to make a feather stick and you'll see why. Split it down a little bit, it was a bit bulky. It's okay, I persevered, it's okay, it's not brilliant, but it'll do, and it'll do for one thing. Lighting with a ferro rod. And this brings me to my final dedication. Old Faithful. If you're a regular viewer, you know I've been using this for years. And actually inside, I turned it around and inside it's heavily worn. And my pal Scott has been telling me for ages, get rid of that stupid little ferro rod. And a couple of days ago I had a comment from my mate Mike Laycock in New Jersey saying you really need to stop using that ferro rod. So I'm retiring Old Faithful, and I'm just not going to retire her, I'm going to dismantle her. I'm going to take all the tape off. I want that gadget because I'm replacing Old Faithful with that. That's been used, but not much. Not much for me anyway. So I'm replacing Old Faithful with that, light my fire. There. So let's light Old Faithful's last feather stick. Shame it's not a very good one. And I'm going to use my adapted screwdriver. Got to use it for something. Old Faithful's last stand. Spare a thought. Poor thing's going. I could unwind the tape. I'm not going to. It's going to take too long. So I'm going to get my blade all sticky. I hope Mike and Scott are watching this. The depths you made me sink to. That's what's left of Old Faithful. I put all the tape on there and now I'll just chuck it in the bag. Sad day. Unfortunately I can't finish New Faithful's build because that is covered in sticky and I need to get that piece of wire off and I haven't got a Leatherman with me. So next time I'll have New Faithful with me. Will she serve me as well? Who knows. Old Faithful has been to Sweden 9 times. She's been to Panama. I can't remember if she's been anywhere else, but she's been to Sweden 9 times. Right, thanks for watching this odd video. Was a bit strange, I know, but there we are. So first part dedicated to Super Quota, the obnoxious troll, and to everybody who enjoys watching me splitting wood. And the second part is dedicated to my pal Scott and my pal Mike from New Jersey. You forced me into it. On that note, I'll say goodbye. Feel free to give me a thumbs up, it's always appreciated. Ta-ra. Oh, and by the way, if you're new to this bushcrafty survival-y stuff, the reason Old Faithful had a lot of tape wrapped around it was because tape lights fires. And in my fire, you can see that crappy black smoke. That's from the waste tape. I stuck it in there and it just lit them logs back up straight away. So that's why Old Faithful was covered in tape. And if I cut myself, that tape is my go-to, because it's better than a sticking plaster, elastoplast, whatever you want to call them. I use that 1-inch duct tape. So survival gadgets, you can't beat them. I like a gadget. Right, I'm off. Ta-ra.